Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is 7:14 a.m. Sunday morning, July 14, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems, so we can keep everyone safe this hurricane season, especially during the peak, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the that's been like in your ear recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the US National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. You can see that they have no area highlighted, as there's no tropical cyclone activity that's expected during the next 7 days. However, let's take a look at what some of the experts on Twitter are saying. Here we have Andy Hazelton. He is actually a scientist and he makes a lot of very accurate posts about the hurricane season at times. He stated here, the 365-day change in sea surface temperatures is interesting. East Atlantic is actually notably cooler than last year at this point, but the western MDR is warmer. I wouldn't be surprised if we see activity focus further west than 2023. We already have with Beryl. Enzo also would favor that. So he's highlighting this image right here. This is showing the sea surface temperatures and the differences between the time period since July 2 to July 9. So there has been some amount of cooling taking place, as we can see by the blues and greens across the eastern main development region. We know the main development region is basically this area in the rectangle, but he's stating that the eastern portions have cooled off and the western main development region is still warm with all of the whites and yellows and gold colors. So he's also stating that it could focus more of the development across this area right here into the Caribbean, just like what we had with Beryl. But we know the sea surface temperatures are not the only driver, and if we even take a look at the actual sea surface temperatures, we can see that although there has been some cooling off, it is still warm. This map that just came out on July 12, we can still see very warm main development region, very warm Caribbean, as represented by the yellows, the gold. So it is still running way above normal, and we still have the La Nina that's trying to develop. We are in a neutral state right now, but we know as soon as these waters start to cool off, it's going to be a bit more favorable in the Atlantic, less favorable in the Pacific, and we know the La Nina causes less wind shear across the Atlantic, so these thunderstorms are able to develop even more. As a matter of fact, we're having neutral conditions, and we already saw what happened with Beryl. So I guess we can say that the atmosphere has responded to the lack of El Nino, and we're already starting to get in on the bad weather pattern associated with a very warm Atlantic and lack of El Nino in general. And it's not only the waters being warm at the surface of the ocean, but even at a greater depth. This is the tropical cyclone heat potential map, TCHP. This is showing the ocean heat content, showing how warm the waters are the deeper we go into the ocean. So first, this one was showing the skin of the ocean, the top part. This one is showing how deep and warm the water is, and we can see the very warmest waters right there around the Greater Antilles, Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, the Cayman Islands. That's where we have the deepest, warmest waters in the red. So if we're supposed to get a system that's supposed to stall out across those areas, it's not going to be sucking up all of the warm water on the surface of the ocean at all, and then possibly weakening, because it still has a lot of very warm water to work with. And we can see that, so it's just going to be churning up the water even more and strengthening. However, as it relates to the Atlantic, hurricane and tropical cyclone activity based on data from 1944 to 2020, We can definitely see that in July there is not much happening, although we have a rise in activity in this almost last week of June. July is not usually, active. We see it's steady trying to climb. We know nothing is going to really happen until we get into August, September, October. And we looked already at the first 10 days of July, and we saw the numerous dots across the main development region that represents somewhere where we've had systems form. Now we're in the second half, so we're going to be looking at the next 10 days. That's July 11 to July 20, considering that today is July 14. And this is the map right here. And we see a lot of red dots that show where tropical systems have formed across the main development region right here. Not to mention across portion of the waters to the east of the United States, the Gulf of Mexico, the Western Caribbean, and we see a lot of dots across the Eastern Pacific. And we haven't really had much systems across the Eastern Pacific, especially considering that the Atlantic is the main focus this year. And if we actually get something to form during this month, we see the tracks and the origins originating from the Eastern Caribbean, just like what Beryl did, and moving westward, some across the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico, some pushing northward into portions of the Leeward Islands, Northern Caribbean, the Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, as well as heading into portion of the Eastern United States. We'll see exactly what unfolds. This is the track for July. Let's see if we get some more out of it before all is said and done with this month. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being dominated by that ridge of high pressure that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. Some of these trade winds have a lot of dust, not to mention numerous tropical waves. One tropical wave right here to the west of Jamaica, one tropical wave right here across portions of Hispaniola, another tropical wave right here equidistant from Africa and the Caribbean, another tropical wave right here to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic as the sun is starting to come up, as a matter of fact, let's reload these images so that we have the very latest. We can definitely see what was just mentioned. The clouds associated with the tropical wave across Hispaniola, the clouds associated with that other tropical wave to the east of the Caribbean, and we can also see the clouds associated with that other tropical wave. But we can see that the northern portions of these tropical waves are definitely dry. We have more of the thunderstorms squashed down across the main development region's intertropical convergent zone right here, and it's understandable because we know all of that is where the air from the northern hemisphere meets the air from the southern hemisphere. We have more rising air right there, and there's a lot of sinking air taking place across majority of the main development region and the Caribbean right now, especially considering that there's a lot of dust across the region. We can also see the clouds associated with that other tropical wave to the west of Jamaica. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean today later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for Saturday, July 13. It was stated that sections of some western and central parishes would have been receiving some afternoon rainfall on Saturday, and we know western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall. So St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. While central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex. So St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. And what ended up happening? We actually saw clouds starting to build at 2:45 p.m. as a post was made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page, but on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we may post throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we definitely saw some clouds starting to build, some flashes of lightning in there, the sparkling yellow dots across sections of some more south central and southwestern parishes. So definitely sections of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, sections of Clarendon, maybe northwestern St. Catherine might have gotten in on the mix. And that was just for the afternoon. Didn't get in on much rainfall. Most of the rainfall was focused across St. Elizabeth, and we saw that on the infrared satellite images that were posted later. But we also saw that for the first time in a long time, some of the thunderstorms came off of Haiti's western tip, and we highlighted this in a post-dating afternoon, thunderstorms from the western tip of Haiti are on the move. Will they reach St. Thomas and Portland, Jamaica by Saturday evening or dissipate before arriving? Because that's usually what takes place. They usually dissipate, they usually dwindle down by the time they get to Jamaica if they're coming from Haiti. And what actually took place was that we actually got in some amount of rainfall. We saw the Cuban Doppler radar images that were posted, and they showed the greens that represent some light to moderate rainfall affecting St. Thomas and Portland. And even later on, we saw the clouds definitely brought in on some isolated thunderstorms to section of St. Thomas and Portland as well. It was mainly focused across the Blue Mountain regions than anything else, as we saw the sparkling white dots over those spots. And this was valid for 8:25 p.m. on Saturday evening, Saturday night. And we also saw the thunderstorms that portion of St. Elizabeth got in on during the late afternoon hours as well. And we even had a comment here confirming the lightning fest genius. I saw lightning flashes. I definitely heard the thunderstorms. I heard the thunder in my portion of St. Thomas, definitely to the north of me. Didn't get in on much rainfall at all. Most of that rainfall must have been in northern St. Thomas, southern Portland, across the mountainous regions there. If we take a look at this morning's visible satellite imagery right here, we can see some patches of clouds coming in from the east, maybe affecting section of eastern St. Thomas, section of Portland with some amount of isolated showers as we speak. The latest image right here is as of 21 minutes past the hour. So this image just came out 4 minutes ago, and we can see that we definitely have some clouds bringing some isolated showers maybe to sections of Portland, if not some overcast skies. Don't see much high cloud tops at all. These are the low level patches of cloud. This is why the visible satellite image is so important, because we can see the cloud cover, we can see the actual rainfall. The infrared satellite images show the thunderstorm clouds, the upper level clouds. We can't really make it out here on this map at all. And this is also why the Cuban Doppler radar images are important, because we can actually see where we actually have that rainfall. Earlier we saw some dots of greens near eastern Jamaica. Not seeing much right now. Maybe some of the rainfall has died down, who knows. Either way, we can see the latest from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, 7:26 a.m. showing a sunny morning in Kingston. This map right here showing New Kingston. We can even see the Halfway Tree Transport Center right here. Definitely sunny than anything else, overlooking into Kingston. By the way, we have a partnership with this channel. This is See Jamaica's YouTube channel. And if you'd like to see more live streams of the corporate area, Halfway Tree Crossroads, the Kingston Harbor, even the Bagua Gorge, you can just go over to their channel and see for yourself. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, considering that it's still early in the morning, the temperatures might be higher, but we see 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And we can see that as of 18th on Sunday, from the GFS right here, this is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday, we see Jamaica embedded in it, some yellow, some gold colors that represent 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of July across Jamaica are about 91 degrees Fahrenheit. When you take a look at the thermometer, 91 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 32.7 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Sunday. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast, this map is showing the forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday. So a couple hours from now, we can see Jamaica right here. We're still getting in on those brown colors that represent Saharan dust. But what we don't want to see is that vigorous plume that we see right here coming off of the coast of Africa. That's that darker shade that we know represents a lot of Saharan dust that can cause hazy skies, trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons, whether it be asthma, sinusitis. You can also see portions of the Eastern Caribbean getting in on some of that as we speak. And we know all of this is pushing from east-west across the Caribbean. If we take a look at the wave forecast for today, we can see that we still have those blues across majority of the Caribbean that represent 1 to 1.5 meter wave height. The water is still far south of Jamaica. That's where we're going to be getting in on the purples that represent 2 to 3 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are strongest down there. We have more duller greens and brighter greens that represent anywhere from 15 to 20 knot winds coming in from the east across majority of the Caribbean. But we have the strongest winds where we have the highest waves, and it makes sense. The yellows represent the 25 to 30 knot winds right there to the far south of Jamaica to the north of Colombia. And we can see the general direction from the east. As it relates to the forecast for today in terms of Jamaica's winds, yes, the winds coming in more so from the east, but where do we have the least amount of wind? More so across sections of some western and the northern portion of the island. So that's where some of these cumulus clouds might build up into medium level rain clouds, if not thunderstorm clouds, some cumulonimbus thunderstorm clouds. So maybe some afternoon rainfall across sections of some northern and western parishes. And with the upper level winds coming in more so from the south or from the southeast today, it could favor more of the thunderstorms across sections of some northern parishes. And if you actually take a look at the forecast, by the way, this is valid for 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 8 a.m. Jamaica time. And we're already seeing the blues that represent rainfall across eastern Jamaica based on what we saw in the visible satellite images. The clouds coming in from the east, definitely, with some amount of isolated showers within them. So it makes sense that the Euro and the GFS models are actually seeing what's happening right now, the rainfall that's expected, even though this is valid for 8 a.m. and it's 7 a.m. right now, or well, after 7 a.m. right now. We can see definitely some amount of rainfall right there, even spilling into section of St. Mary as well. If we take a look at the forecast, we can see that as of 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, we see most of the rainfall. It should be affecting western Jamaica than anything else. Sections of Hanover, Westmoreland, section of St. James, maybe even spilling into sections of Trelawney right there. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this. Not much rainfall in store for section of eastern and central Jamaica at all. And we see that there's some amount of differences in terms of the accumulated precipitation forecast. More than likely, this is valid for the morning hours, as we can see the colors across eastern Jamaica and even northeastern Jamaica getting in on the mix. But the afternoon is where the rainfall is expected to be across western Jamaica. GFS showing more of the rainfall up to 0.3 of an inch of rainfall across Hanover right there. Not as robust on the Euromal, but we do see that both of them are painting a picture that eastern and western Jamaica for the day, more than likely in the morning for the east, in the afternoon for the west. Not seeing much of anything for the southern or central sections of the island on the GFS at all. Either way, we'll take it. We're in the month of July. We usually receive less rainfall in both Montego Bay and Kingston in terms of millimeters at the top, inches at the bottom. You can definitely do the math. We'll take all the rainfall that we can get. 1 inch of rainfall is up to 25 millimeters of rainfall. We can see that we usually receive up to 50 millimeters of rainfall at most for July in Kingston. Up to 3 inches of rainfall at most for July in Montego Bay. We'll take all the rainfall that we can get to do something about the heat that we're currently experiencing. I'm sure you guys have been feeling the heat for sure. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have a lot of clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone attached to numerous tropical waves across the main development region. You can also see some clouds coming in the section of the eastern Caribbean. Some clouds right there across northern South America, spilling into sections of Central America as well. And if we focus our attention on the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can definitely see that there are some isolated showers being experienced right now, more so across the British and US Virgin Islands, especially to the waters to the north of Puerto Rico. Even some rainfall right there on the Barbados radar to the east of Dominica, coming in more so from the northeast than anything else. So section of Martinique is next in line. Then who knows, maybe section of St. Lucia already getting on some isolated showers. Maybe some of this rainfall might make it into section of Barbados later today. We can also see some rainfall currently affecting section of Tobago as we speak. Some of this rainfall could definitely make it southward into Trinidad. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see some of that rainfall across sections of southeastern Nicaragua. Some rainfall right now affecting sections of Belize as we speak, spilling into Guatemala. And if we take a look at the radar right here, we can see some of that rainfall affecting section of the ABC Island or the waters around it. Some rainfall right there to the northeast of French Guiana as well. As relates to the forecast, we know the greens and the yellows represent anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall up to 0.3 of an inch of rainfall. Some more isolated shores than anything else, wherever we see the greens and the yellows. But some more pronounced rainfall is expected wherever we see the gold, reds, even some darker reds and purples. We see the consensus by both the Euro and the GFS models for rainfall across sections of Florida, the Bahamas, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, sections of Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the Leeward Islands, so section of the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, section of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, more so isolated shores than anything else, if not no rainfall at all, for sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados. Trinidad and Tobago might get in on the mix if they're not already getting in on that. Lots of rainfall in store for sections of French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia. By the way, keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Sunday. So this rainfall is expected somewhere today if it's not already right now falling. Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, section of Honduras, Belize. We already saw Belize getting on the rainfall. And even sections of Guatemala expected to get in on some more rainfall. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching.